Yeah.
Y'all better get this out here.
Hey, what's happening, y'all? What's happening? Once again, it's the capo.
It's the top dog, Nick.
Sometimes. And tonight we joined with a special guest, licensed professional counselor, lifesaver, queen. You got your own shop and stuff too.
I do.
Yes. She got her own shop, entrepreneur.
Yeah.
My sister, my friend, Miss Simmone Kilgore.
Hey. Thanks for having me.
Hey, you ain't gotta talk all soft and stuff.
Okay. Thanks for having
Talk
me.
like we in a crisis and you trying to get through to me.
No, we ain't in no crisis. We in together.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Thanks for the
like
invite, Sean, Mick.
Yeah.
Thanks for the invite. It's cozy.
Yeah, well,
It's
thanks
family.
for coming. So we don't play around.
Yeah.
I mean, and we got some time, so we want to occupy the time with some content, right? And tell us what you got going on, right? Give us a backstory. Tell us about Simmone.
Yeah.
Tell us who Simmone is. Where's Simmone from? What neighborhood? What block? And, where you grow up at? Did you eat green field shit like that?
Throw down. So it's interesting. I've been here since I was 17, so over 30 years. I am not originally from Milwaukee. I'm from Beloit, Wisconsin, which is my hometown. I love it.
Right outside of what?
Yeah.
Right outside of. I understand you from Beloit, but you ain't from
I'm
the
a Chicago Bears fan. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. Yeah. Everything crossing that line, South Beloit is Illinois, and Beloit is Wisconsin. So I live right on the border. So everything that came to us was Michael Jordan, the Bulls, Walter Payton, my daughter named.
I'm sorry, Man, that's messed up.
My daughter name is Payton.
I ain't no Packer fan, so I care less.
Yeah, right. He already accepted.
But I'm cool.
He said, he understood. See, it makes sense.
You the wish. What are you?
He's a reasonable one.
Yeah, reasonable.
Very reasonable.
He's reasonable.
When I said Beloit, then I went to the Bears. He's like,
I'm difficult.
So that's where I grew up. Would never change my upbringing in terms of, growing up in a small town, because it just gave me an opportunity for me to grow up in an environment where everybody knew everybody. Great parents, great family on both sides. My parents were divorced growing up, but my granny stayed down there. My other granny and grandpa stayed there, and all of my cousins intermixed. So I grew up like we all was cousins. Nobody cared from what. So that was my upbringing. Moving to Milwaukee was a bit of a change for me, because where I came from, it was like everybody said hi to everybody every day. Rude. It was different. I know folks now. I know the differences now. But when I came, I was 17. I had never really run into no sisters and brothers that didn't speak. Never in my life till I moved here. But it's been wonderful for me to be here, to raise my family here. My children are grown. I got grandkids now. Nobody lives here anymore. So the question is, what am I still doing here? So again, I'm a licensed therapist here in Milwaukee. I have a private practice called Transcendent Hope. And I believe hope does transcend. I think it transcends our own belief or abilities. I think it is something that's based on faith. Scripture says, in order to have faith, it is this belief that you are looking towards things hoped for. So without hope, your faith is weakened or not existent. So I believe this idea of always keeping space for hope is necessary. And I say that because as a trauma therapist, I don't just work with people in general for general counseling needs. At times I do, but most of my clients have suffered severe trauma, multiple trauma, complex trauma.
I'm glad you said that, because we gonna see. I'm glad you're here because you can help me define the different traumas, right, and categories. Now, I want to get into disorders and the difference between disorders and trauma.
Yeah.
Okay, because a lot of people got that mixed up.
Yeah.
But okay, I'm sorry.
They do.
That's a curveball.
They do.
I throw curveballs.
That's
so
okay.
People,
That's okay.
people
I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm ready. Okay. So yeah, in that I do work with a lot of survivors of trauma. I have a 9-to-5 where I manage a clinic that works with survivors of sexual assault and domestic violence. We provide therapy services to them for free, no cost, never making them leave. They don't have to use insurance. They can use insurance or not. But it's an unheard of program, nothing really like this in the nation.
Okay.
So I'm very happy to be. I was there for about 9 years, left to go work for the city for a minute, and then came
How
back.
that work out for you? Maybe we'll talk about that too. Okay.
So outside of that, I'm a salon owner. I've been in that field for over 30 years again. And been in my current location at my salon for 20 years this year.
Wow.
76 in Bradley Road. Beauty Master Salon.
In the little,
I'm in that strip.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Been there
I used to
30
stay
years.
on 80th.
Yeah. Been there 30
How long you
years.
been there? 30 years?
20.
20.
I'm sorry. 20 years.
I
True
think I
Value
stayed on
Hardware.
80th. Yeah.
I'm right in
Yeah,
there.
Martin's True.
Yeah, Martin's True Value.
Yeah.
They recently sold it.
Yeah, they recently
Yeah,
sold it.
yeah, but I'm still there.
Wow.
Yeah, so I do that. I got the practice and I work at Aurora, so quite busy. Stay
So
busy.
I was slipping a little bit because I didn't go through all of that. You know, with more. Okay,
Mhm.
that's on me though. That's
Mhm.
on me. Well, that's on Nick. We're gonna put that on Nick because he's the reasonable one.
Yeah,
Yeah, he can take it.
that's okay.
Yeah, I can't.
Okay. You ain't slipping. I mean, a lot of people. I'm just busy, so I do quite a bit. I do some sessions at the Milwaukee Art Museum as often as possible with a group called Black Space, where we provide free group therapy to men and women of color and the LGBTQ community, men and women of color. There's funding available and people can come on out, and so we'll be advertising that next session season coming up soon. So anything that I can do to try
And
to
you
help
do
spread-
impromptu sessions.
I do impromptu sessions sometimes in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
If I'm called on for a crisis response or on the radio or whatever. My plan is to make sure people know that yes, you can heal. Yes, you can. It's out there. You don't have to suffer. You don't have to keep dealing with things the way you have. You don't have to let it keep ruminating in your mind. You don't have to let it affect your decisions, your future, how you see yourself or your children. So it's really time for Black folks, Black and brown folks, to say, you know, enough of this suffering internally. We have dealt with so much oppression that is still very prevalent. But our ancestors have taught us there's ways to rise above it. And so there's ways for us to figure out how to fight back at times.
So I got a curveball for you.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, I just do this sometimes. You know, I don't want to before I say this, okay, I'm making this statement and I'm making it because I want to make it and it's a question. This may not be how I believe, but it's a question. Before you said something, you said Black and brown, right? And you know, I'm a mixed heritage, so many people don't know that. Grandfather Cuban, okay? But it's my belief that before we can heal anybody else or help or assist in healing anybody else, we got to heal ourselves.
Sure.
So.
Sure. I believe that to a certain extent, but I also believe that the healing is a continuum, like any other thing. Like there's this range, right? We think about autism. People could say my child is on the autism spectrum.
Yeah.
Either they over here where they might be really in a space where they're labeled autistic, but can live individual lives, can work jobs, can have relationships, can express themselves well, to on the other end of it being affected by autism in a way that it kind of keeps them out of it, what we call some kind of normal life expressing. Everything is on that spectrum.
Okay.
Healing too. So I don't ever believe that I'll get to a place where I stop working towards healing. Ever. I'm always striving, trying to get there. Because I feel like as we move in life, we elevate as people. And so the changes that I've been through, again, just being in Milwaukee from 17 to now being 50, I've experienced some things. We've experienced loss. You all were, somewhere today giving your love and support out to somebody that you lost. Good brother.
Good brother, man. JD, a good brother, man. Yeah.
And so just think about how we go through all these ebbs and flows, and they target us somewhere internally. Yeah. You take that to bed with you. It's in your relationships. It shows up every day. And so I think our job is to work on being well. What is well-being is the question. For you, it's different than it is for me and it is for Sean. Everybody's well-being is different. Sometimes mine is, being in a space where I'm absolutely quiet because I have to talk so much, and I can tap into some self-reflection. What was today like for you, Simmone? What are some of the challenges you face? And what are some of the things you keep putting off that you need to be doing for yourself? Kind of checking yourself, you know what I mean? But I think a lot of times we get caught up in just survival, specific to Black and brown survival.
Yeah.
Where we're not really incorporating a lot of healing in there. And I would like to express and share to people that do it the best you can to be well and define it the way you define it.
So, Nikki got some questions for you.
Yeah.
Now, he gonna ask you some questions, and there may be some addendums, or some amendments to the questions, right?
That's fine.
Based off your responses.
Okay. That's cool.
Because I wanna,
I'll roll with it.
I just like you said, there's a spectrum.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And we want to cover the spectrum.
Yes.
So,
yes.
I like that. I'm gonna start using that. That spectrum.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Sean. Well, my question is this: why did you decide to become a licensed professional counselor, and what inspired your journey in the field?
Yeah, my mama. And I don't know. It's interesting. I was married. I'm divorced now, but one of those years, my ex-husband brought me a yearbook that was mine from the 6th grade, and one of the questions was, "Where will you see yourself in 10 years?" You know how your yearbook would ask you that. And I put, I'll be a salon owner and a therapist. And I don't remember writing it at all in the 6th grade. So what's 12, maybe 11, 12 years old. But my mom, my grandmother, her mother, my father's mother, but my mom in particular was like a school counselor for years. And then she went to the college level. And from that, and even just being in church, I've never not seen her take the time out to sit down and tell somebody, you gonna be all right, and this is how we can kind of shape that thing from you. I was saying to a friend the other day at my mom's funeral, I remember turning around and I looked, parts that I don't remember, parts that I do remember, but I remember seeing people outside, right? These windows of this huge church. And when I walked, people were saying, "Oh my goodness, I just wanted to meet you. Your mom always talked about you." Because again, I've been here back and forth to my hometown a lot, but I didn't know everybody that she had encountered, and people were crying, saying if it wasn't for her, I would have gave up on school. Or as a single parent, your mama told me I'm gonna be all right. Or when I was going through my divorce, your mom let me come over here and get food, and she helped me find clothes. And so I knew that had been my life to serve. Right. But I feel like, biblically and thinking about faith, I don't know what else we doing on the planet if we ain't serving each other.
That's right.
I just don't know what else we are trying to obtain. What else can I have? How many things can I have? How many things can I gather without trying to help somebody else and inspire somebody else and encourage somebody else? So it's definitely part of my DNA, for sure. My dad is a drug and alcohol counselor in Madison, Wisconsin.
How's your dad?
My dad, he's good. He's doing a lot better. So it's services in my family in a real way, like change agents.
And that's an honorable thing.
Yeah.
It really is. Yeah. To serve,
Yeah.
See, honorable. That's somebody reasonable to say, right? I would have thought honorable. I'm like, you know what? That's what's happening.
Yeah.
He picks up. He picks up on that type. Proud of him too. Proud of you, bro.
Yeah.
My dude.
Okay, I'm gonna ask another question if you don't mind.
All right.
Can you share some common misconception? Can you share some common misconceptions people have about counseling and how you work to address and overcome them?
Yeah, a lot of people say stuff like, I ain't crazy. I don't need a therapist. Therapy is for people that's really suffering or going through, or a lot of times people suffer with sharing their business. First of all, if you with a reputable therapist, they cannot run your business. It's against what our practice says. Our duty is to do no harm. And then confidentiality is a key factor of what we must bring to the table. I can't share with nobody else if I'm meeting with this person over here and why.
But how do you overcome the people that have been trained?
Yeah.
Right? Because I was trained.
Yeah.
Don't put them people in our business.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Don't tell nobody what's
going
on in our house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And for some of us, that's law.
That's law. It was law for me. And my mama was a helper. So I get it.
So how do you overcome that?
Yeah. You got to figure out what's more important. Wellness and seeking the help you need, and really truly believing that everybody is not out to take your kids away from you or tell the authorities on you or run your business. It's hard sometimes because not every therapist is ready for that. But I've been in situations where it get touchy and there's some information that's sensitive. I don't run that. There's things that you have to break that kind of code of honor. And that's if somebody's going to hurt themselves and if they plan to hurt somebody else specifically. If I'm in a session with you, Mick, and you start having a hard time breathing, I got to break confidentiality to call 911. That's silly. So before we start every session, I let people know these are the reasons I would have to break confidentiality. If you're going to hurt yourself or somebody else, or I need to call for a medical emergency, those are the reasons that I would have to break that confidence between us. But for the most part, it should be a space where people really, really feel safe. So to answer you, Sean, is building a relationship. And once I've had an opportunity to do that, we good. We going. It's about building rapport. So that means if I'm in a session with somebody and they come see me 5, 6, 10, 15 times and they still ain't really revealed what it is they're there for, that's that patient dance we do together. We're gonna walk this together until they feel like, okay, I can really trust Simmone, and here's what I'm really coming to therapy for. It's really people have to figure out if they can trust again, and a lot of times they don't because that's already been broken. Kind of what Sean said, systems do that. Yeah. You
want to ask another one, then I'm going to get started.
Okay. I'm going to ask one more.
Okay.
For now.
Okay.
Yeah.
In your experience, what are some effective techniques or approaches you employ to build trust and rapport with your clients?
That same thing I kind of talked about. So one of the things I practice is patience. Kind of getting people, where meeting them where they are is really, really, really important. Like I'm not trying to change the way somebody walks into therapy or telling them that this is the way that this goes. If we sit up and chop it up for a while, we chop it up for a while, and that's okay. They run that session. They in charge. So it's something we learned in school early on is how do you equalize the space. I come into the space with a title, right, as this therapist. But I'm no different than anybody sitting across from me at any given moment. That's that humanistic approach is what we call it, where I understand I too hurt. I too been through stuff. I too may need therapy at any given moment. I too may not be able to see what's right in front of me at times. And so when I make sure that people understand I go through too, they're like, everybody in the world go through. Nobody is, in a position where they haven't been harmed or go through painful situations or self-doubt. No, everybody has. Yeah. And so when you normalize that's one of the things that helps to kind of build that therapeutic rapport, but also just really being patient with people, learning to listen, lack of judgment, kind of normalizing. Yeah, you hard on yourself because of these behaviors. But let's talk about why these behaviors are even active in your life. Why do you act like that? Why do you treat people like that? Why do you use or why do you abuse or all of these kind of things? And when people understand that there's a why, that helps them to start forgiving themselves right away.
Okay, so I'm a man, right? My brother's a man, right? But I know how hard it is at times for men to express their feelings.
Yeah.
You know, I know you dealt with this before,
yeah.
right? What can men do to help other men understand and accept these emotions, these feelings, right?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you're like, man, I don't know what I'm supposed to do or say. You know what I mean? I don't want to seem like I'm, pushing up on this thing. So, you know what I mean? I ain't trying to do that, but my man may need some consoling, but I ain't trying to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we do each other a disservice when we don't understand that we more alike than not alike.
Okay.
I think we so busy, especially in this culture. Everybody's a boss. Everybody the man. Everybody more flashy, got more money, got more status, got more whatever than everybody else, and that's a false way of seeing things. It's only get you in trouble when you believe that you're so separate that you're not equal with your own people. As a man, you must understand that we so much more alike than we're not alike, and so it's okay if you see a brother that's in distress to say, man, I don't really know what you're going through, but I'm sure that it's something that I can understand. If I didn't go through it, maybe I went through something similar. Number one, because most of the time that's the case. If a brother's suffering, it might be over relationships or with money or over his job situation, over his kids. You know what I mean? And one thing in particular, our kids, if you got grown kids, sometimes they get you in a ball of knots where you just like, what kind of example was I? Because these people is crazy. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think we have this common thread, especially at this age where we just like, did I fumble the ball? I think it's important that dialogue is present. And so maybe in that moment, Sean, when you reach out to your brother and they suffering, and if they don't give you nothing back, that's not specifically what you should be looking for. If Mick is responding back to your concern for him, what's most important is that you shared it and he heard it. Now, if he move on his way, he'll never forget that you said, man, I'm available if you need me. That's what's most important.
I'm going to keep bothering him.
I know, but that's okay. But if he don't respond back, that's his way and that's his business.
I'm going to call
your responsibility is to put it out there.
You're going to come knock on the door.
Yeah. Until we get it right. And a lot of people do that. They'll stay on their brother's heels until they say, and I know many men that have done this and have shared that with me. Like, we stayed at him until we was like, bruh, come on up out this house. Come on up out this basement. Come on, get up out that bed. Come on, get up out that car. Get out that situation. Come on, dude, leave this house for you mess around and hurt this woman, hurt these kids, hurt yourself. So we got brothers in our life that will tap on the door. One of the things we got to do is be really aware of when that help is coming, see it as help. Don't bump up against it. Don't fight it. But see it as actual somebody throwing you a hand, saying, come on, I got you. Yeah. Thinking about, again, our ancestors and all the things they went through. It was designed that we not even be here now.
So
all the things we went through, we really are walking miracles. How dare we not help each other heal?
Yeah. I'm listening up because I'm about to throw a curveball, right? Right. So we've talked and we've also been involved in what's going on in the city.
Yeah.
Right. And in a hopeless city.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of us that we ain't got hope. You know what I mean? Yet we have people in position. Yeah. I like star shit too. Yeah. There's a lot of people that refuse to seek help, right? Because the people that are on the other end, they may have the qualifications on paper, but they haven't lived my life.
Yeah.
They haven't experienced my trauma.
Yeah.
They can't understand my disorder.
Yeah.
How can they help me? Right? There's a lot of people like this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How, well, can we? Is it probable? I don't like to use possibilities, right? Possibles. What's the probability that coming from you and your profession, your professional opinion, that those people with the proper therapy, counseling, trauma-informed care, whatever it is, can we begin to heal these people, man? If our city takes it upon itself to employ people that have the proper qualifications, do you see that? Do you see that happening?
Yeah. Yeah. Because I believe it's doable. I believe there was a time when we had Black societies, and I don't know how mental well-being was happening then, but I'll tell you what, when oppression is not at your neck every day, and all the isms that plague the Black and brown community, because we're all trying to thrive, we helping each other be better, then generally the well-being of the community is risen up. I think when we implement other things that we have done, in this country and in society, and we try to be what we're not, and we continue to fight this uphill battle. I'm not saying you got to settle for anything. I'm saying go for what you want, but never leave your own people behind. So I think a lot of our own pain is about trying to escape what other people say we shouldn't be and what we should be and all that old kind of stuff. But I think it's time that we come back to the drawing table and say, how can teachers best benefit, our community? How can doctors, how can people that fix cars or work on houses, how do we bring that back together so we can rise up again as a community? I think sometimes too, Sean, to answer your question about specific professionals, it's like me going to a dentist. If I go to the dentist and I don't like how they do it, I'm going to a new one. I don't care where they come from.
If this is the only dentist that I keep getting referred to, though, what can I do about that?
You have power. You have power in that. So there's other dentists, so you don't have to just be referred to that one. There's other places to go. And just because I'm a Black female doesn't mean that all Black females want to come to me. You know what I mean? They may want to go to somebody else, but I'll say, ask yourself these questions. What are the objectives you're looking for when you leave? What is it that you need to see, or what do you need to know when you leave that first initial visit? Because for everybody, it's something different. Some people are very good in those spaces. But it depends on what you're looking for.
I go there because I need to talk to somebody about a life issue, right? I know. And I get diagnosed with this trauma, right? And I don't know what the hell they're talking about. I ain't got that. I'm just going through this right now. How do I go from this to this? Right?
So there is a thing with false diagnosis for sure. And I was just saying Saturday at a community forum where sometimes trauma survivors show up with all of these behaviors. And we say stuff like, what's wrong with her? Why is she acting like that? Why is she dressed like that? Why she talk like that? Every time I see her, she wilding out, whatever. We place judgment oftentimes. Or we'll say, oh, that person is diagnosed with schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, all these different things. But oftentimes I've been so traumatized for so long that my behaviors show up like schizophrenia.
Why can't I just be tired and fed up?
Yeah, or that.
You know what I mean?
Or that. Sometimes it's the effects of all the things that harm us that make us behave a certain way, and the diagnosis can absolutely be wrong. Absolutely. Yeah, but I think that's a way that we are trying to educate more therapists about that. I think once they get out here in the real world of it and they recognize that trauma impacts the brain and the way you see the world, the way you think the world sees you, the way you show up, you are absolutely altered after a traumatic event. And if you have complexity in that or multiple things that have harmed you, you really show up differently.
One more before I'm get back to Nick. There's a Milwaukee is experiencing a lot of trauma, right? A lot of trauma, and I understand that the trauma doesn't last a couple of days, right? You may come see you 3-4 days, and then you go. What can you say, or will you speak on that, and how abandoning people can be as harmful, if not more harmful,
after they've experienced the trauma? After
they've experienced the trauma and the initial contact was made, right, by a group or organization, a therapist, right? And they checked on them for a few days.
Yeah, that's even more true.
And they said, "Oh well, you're okay now."
Yeah, that adds.
But we understand. This trauma, right? This disorder. That was brought on by my trauma.
Well, it can. I shouldn't say it does, but it can add to what has made that person ill or not well. Because for you to enter into my situation and say, these are some things we can do to help you, or I'm doing an assessment on your situation for documentation or for more money for my program or whatever. A lot of times the system piece of it causes more harm when people, which is a lot of times why we shut that help out. I don't want that, because you come in here for a couple weeks to kind of help me, and then you off again too. People need to know that you are available, which can oftentimes put you in a position where they think the hope is in you. You got to be very careful. It ain't in me as a therapist. I hold space for it until you can get it for yourself. But once we can find a window where I can say, "Oh, you're gonna be all right," because see what you did positive. Reaching out shows your strength. Waking up every day after this catastrophe is strengthening. Kind of helping them recognize that it's within them and not me. That also creates some distance in me being this system-based help or program or whatever that people are leaning towards. You put that on them and say, you got it within you to make it. You made it this far. Let me tell you what you've already overcome, because you already told me. Once people say, "Oh, I did make it through it," I don't think we recognize our own strength. I don't think we recognize that if we still here, we're doing the best we can. I don't think we recognize that if we still here, we warriors in this thing. We got it. How do you turn it on and see yourself as a survivor? How do you see your own strength? And then how do you act upon it moving forward? Well, if I did that, if I wake up every day, at least I can wake up and maybe do some meditation. Maybe I can wake up and figure out a way to find new housing or find a new situation for myself. Maybe I can look in the mirror and start seeing myself differently. Because I am capable. So it's about sharing that message of it ain't in Simmone and it ain't in these systems, but it's within you that you can do this. You can heal. I'm gonna help aid that in any way that I can.
So I'm letting Nick go, but think about this while you answer. Do you practice psychological first aid? That's gonna be my next question.
Yeah, for myself.
Well,
or for anybody.
For anybody, and can you share what psychological first aid is to others? But that'll be after the next question.
But I want to go off scripts for a minute.
Go ahead.
So that's what's up. I woke up at 2 a.m. last night, and then I watched that movie Antoine Fisher.
Yeah.
So you're familiar
again?
With
yeah.
You think?
Yeah. Is that your movie?
No, it I think it has become.
Yeah. Why did he say again? You've seen it more than once.
Yeah.
We just over watching it.
It's interesting.
It is. And it's so realistic.
And it's a good one to bring up for tonight's session. Because I mean, you talk about a traumatized man.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
How do I get out of my own way because I've been brought up in this belief system that I am nothing.
Yeah.
When your mom leaves you, when your father leaves you,
Yeah.
you're left believing that I wasn't special enough for them to stick around, right?
Okay.
If they're not deceased, and sometimes when they are, kids grow up believing I'm not special enough for them to stick around. So how can I be special enough to go into the armed forces? How can I be special enough to be in this relationship with this young lady and make something happen? How can I be special enough to be, this lieutenant that's getting ready to do what I do? Because I've been so traumatized in this belief that I am nothing. Only to recognize you is somebody.
Yeah.
And you do deserve love and respect and support. And you do have family that loves you. And then when you recognize that those that left you behind also were traumatized. And through the lens that the mom had, she thought it best and not harm him anymore. She ain't thinking he gonna be over there with them people and they gonna jack him up. She's thinking she gonna jack him up. So because we keep passing this traditionally along our own pains, which is why it's important that men and women get this in check. Because trust me, when you look at your own children, and I can preach my own message to myself, and I recognize the places in me that weren't specifically healed or maybe where I missed something, I see it in my adult kids. What I do now is bring it to them like, listen, I'll probably messed up in this area. I'm not really quite sure. Can y'all tell me if it's something you need from me now? Let me make up for it now. Because as long as I'm living, I got time.
That's right.
As long as I'm living, I got time. Yeah.
That's right. So you think that was a pretty
very
fair
clear, very,
yeah.
Extremely. They had therapists on set. They had people available to kind of send it. And it's a true story. That's the other thing.
And it's a true story.
It's a true story. So we understand that we went through that plus, because the movie can only collect so much. But when you talk about a trauma survivor, a victim of trauma, that's a very good example of what's going on around Milwaukee too, Sean. With a lot of people feeling like, my people didn't care enough about me to keep me. My people didn't care enough about me to love on me. My people didn't care enough about me.
And that's one of my issues, right? Like, I have an issue with those that, and this is just me, that don't have any understanding, right? That have not experienced any of the traumas that some of these people have, yet you declare to be the expert, right? And how can you be an expert in something if you've never experienced?
Well, let me tell you this. We have expert surgeons, right? Gallbladder surgeons.
Yes.
And they might be the expert. I want to go to the best. That I don't mean he had to have had his gallbladder.
But I'm not talking about surgeons now, right? I understand. Surgeons go to school forever.
Yeah.
Now,
therapists do too.
Right.
But forever.
I'm not talking about therapists.
Okay.
I'm not talking about licensed
Okay.
therapists. I'm not talking about them.
Okay.
I'm talking about people that take on roles of advisors or mentors, right? They take on the title of counselor. They take these titles on, right? Specialists. I'm a trauma-informed care specialist, right? Hell, you just started talking about trauma-informed care a few years ago, but you're a specialist, right? I believe they do y'all a disservice.
At times.
Right?
At times.
Because you may run into somebody that has had a bad experience with somebody.
Absolutely.
Right?
I have.
Right? And it's like, well, damn, that's not me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But we have an influx of these, I'm gonna call them entities, because I don't want to send nobody out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I ain't trying to do that today. That I believe have diluted the pool.
Yeah. At times.
Right?
At times.
And it's hurt our people.
And it causes great harm.
Yeah.
It causes great harm. I don't know how to get around it. I think people, for what I can say, false flag. And sometimes not on purpose. They believe that they are these specialists or
But
believe
so
in what they're doing.
are they suffering from a disorder?
Oh, I don't
delusion of grandeur or something?
I don't know.
Because
I don't know.
I don't profess to be anything that I'm not.
I don't either, but I do know this. And I mean, we could go on and on and on about these people. You know me on the sideline, we can talk it up, chop it up. But one of the things my mama always told me, if you busy worried about that, you ain't on you. You ain't doing what you're supposed to be doing. And I ain't never forgot it. So meaning I have gotten caught up in that kind of thing. And you and I have had those conversations. I've had it with many Black women professionals, or just in my salon, we chopping it up, right? But I also have to remind myself, it is. It's the best.
Salons and barbershops.
It's the best for us. You know, it's the best for us. We pray, we cry, we support.
That's
we
cliche,
tell.
though.
It's real.
Yeah.
No, but
it's not just cliche. It's
factual. No, because it got to be based on something.
It is.
Robbie D had his salon. That was his.
I tell you this, there's research now where I just saw another sister. She's a therapist and a cosmetologist like me. There's several of us probably in the country, but I'm here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm a licensed therapist, but I had my salon first. That's where I first heard people's traumas in the salon. That's where I first learned to listen. Yeah. So I picked up skills in the salon, what I call Behind the Chairs, a book that I'll have out one day. But my lessons that I learned behind the chair was how to support a sister that's getting beat by her husband. And I'm doing her hair and I know she's going back home. Yeah. Or after somebody has lost their mom and then 2 months later they lost their daddy, you know, or somebody's dealing with a son or daughter that's on drugs or got pregnant for the 15th time. Like, that's where I learned to hear, right? But I also learned to keep people's business quiet too in the salon. So many skills. When I went to school for this, I was 36, 37 years old, grown, had a business, married with kids. And one of the things that my professor told me is you years ahead of other people because of what you've experienced just in the salon. Yeah. And she was a female, white, lesbian minister or something like that. Who talked the spectrum. Yes, but she also talked about knowing that the salons for Black and brown people are hubs. Yeah. They tell their people too, everything. So let me tell you what happened last week. Let me tell you when I went home. That's a fertile ground. But the other thing that the Black salons do is create a space where we all like-minded. You could throw a look, he know exactly what that means. You know what I mean? Yeah. You pop the joke, we know what that means. You know what I mean? We all gonna rally behind somebody's son who's getting ready to go to college or, you know, need something on their books. It don't matter to us. You need some money on your books or you going to school, we gonna give some money. Yeah. So that kind of Black unity and support is a place for healing. And so you cannot beat the salon experience at all. Hands down. No way.
And what's the name of your salon again?
Beauty Master Salon.
Where is that?
76 in Bradley Road. 76
That's
in Bradley
our advertising.
That's our advertising. Yeah. I know G's Clippers do Real Men, Real Talk, where men sit around and have their discussions on a regular basis, you know, about mental health and mental well-being. They bring in young Black folks. That's a place. Maybe Safe and Sound is a spot. They have programs with barbershops in the community where they go in while they cutting the kids' hair. I volunteered to cut kids' hair.
Can I interject right quick?
Yeah.
Because I had a conversation with somebody the other day, and I don't know how true it is. So maybe you can help me, right? Maybe you can enlighten me. So the next time I see him, you know, if he's wrong, I can say, bro, it's not like that. Yeah. But I was told that, what is it?
I think it's called Real Men, Real Talk. You know, women don't go, so I don't know. Okay.
That's not what I was just told. I was just told that it's a woman over it now.
Oh, it might be. I don't know if she's over it. I don't know if she helps to fund it. I don't know who she is. Okay. If you're talking about Tasha with the Fatherhood Initiative program, she might help to get things going. So I don't know.
I was told that too, right?
Yeah.
And listen, sisters, I love y'all. Love you to death.
But I don't think
love my sisters, like right?
That's a club.
Love my sisters, right? I do. But when you say fatherhood, I don't think of a woman in charge. Yeah. Right? When you say real men, real talk, I don't think of a woman in charge. Yeah. I think of men
Yeah.
come together in a space.
They do.
Occupied and shared by men only.
It is.
Right? And yeah, sister, you have this. You're more than welcome. But right now,
yeah.
This
I
ain't
think
about
I've been
you.
told that before when I
You know
talked
what I mean?
to. It's been years. And I think I talked to Qual or G, one of the two. But it's really closed up. It is for men.
But
I do know that.
then whoever said that this woman
They
in
go the
charge,
reasonable one.
maybe they just used the wrong term.
Maybe they did. I don't know.
Maybe she's there to help organize it.
Or pay, she got the funding in, or she brings.
Yeah, it could be a number of things. Maybe she's not in charge, but you know.
I'm just asking because the topic came up to me.
Yeah,
and I'm like, well, I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm gonna ask.
I know what I do know is that I've talked to enough young men that have gone, and it's been life changing. To hear other black men say to them, I've been where you at. One, you not by yourself. And trust that it's something in you. You gonna be great. You made for this. Let's figure out together what your interests are, what your talents are. Mm-hmm. So I've heard very, very, very extremely positive feedback from those sessions. Never been myself. Don't know who's in charge or nothing. I just know that that's an entity here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, that has been positively talked about enough to make it effective and efficient.
Well, maybe we can get them on the show.
Yeah,
we can get them on the show.
Call them.
You know, we're going to see.
Yeah.
And they can explain, and they can invite people so that people know that. I've been to one of the sessions when I first got free.
Okay.
You know, after I was done my legal situation.
Yeah.
I went. I wasn't going there looking for nothing, right? I was going there to see something.
Kind of observe. Yeah.
Because I've been out the loop.
Yeah.
And my friend Courtney, like little sisters, like, you need to go and check out Quad.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You don't like what they do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I said, all right, I'll go. And I went. But for me to really give you an analysis, I have to attend on a regular basis.
Yeah. Again, what you said to me about things that are in place, how do we know that they're helping and not harming?
Yeah.
What are the things you want to be as outcomes or objectives? What are you looking for? A changed mindset? Are you looking for people to at least spread information where people can have resources and support? Are you looking for a supportive place for black men to come? Are you looking for intimacy amongst black men where they can hug each other, dap each other up, cry, say that I'm here for you? It depends.
See, that
on what
word,
you're looking
though,
for.
that word.
Intimacy.
Yeah, that's going to throw me off.
It could.
Right?
It could.
Because when I say, hey, bro, let's come to the spot so we can be intimate with each other.
Or at least find common ground.
You know, people will be like, wait, what the fuck?
Well, how do you define intimacy? A way to connect. You know?
Well, yeah, but
say the word connect. Let me
some
take
people,
that
yes,
out.
say connect. Because some people, they say intimate. It's like, they going to do the woman.
Vulnerability, real talk, it's real talk. So it's getting them to a place where you can open up that part of the mind that they closed off because I got to support and look a certain way. And in there, you can kind of relax off of that. When do a black man get to just say, I ain't got to be on?
Yeah.
I could be open to receive. Again, going back to Antoine Fisher, he stayed on. Yeah. He stayed on. You know how that along our lifeline, lifespan affects us internally? You can't have mental health issues without it affecting you physically at all. That kind of stress to always be on is harmful to the body and the spirit and the soul. So teaching people that that's a safe place where you can take that guard off, black man, young black brother, and relax all that for a minute and just hear and be vulnerable, that is something that we desperately need in our communities, period. A space where you don't have to be on. Now, when you get to that door, you might turn it back on, right? Yeah. But in here, you don't have to. We need spaces like that all over this community.
Yeah, that's true. I believe that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got some more questions? I mean, top dog?
Yeah, I do.
Top dog, reasonable one.
This is it, man. we let it be.
It's a lot of iteration.
We let it be.
Since we
KP, what's happening, KP?
Yeah.
Hey man, y'all share the show.
Yeah.
I see y'all coming in, and
let me say this.
this is Simmone.
Okay, how do you stay updated on the latest developments in research and counseling to ensure your practice remains current and effective?
Yeah, so continuous trauma trainings. So they call them CEUs. Where we have to. Same thing. Yeah, I got them as a cosmetologist. I got to stay fresh and on top of it, right? So I got to take annual training to stay on top of it. Outside of the requirement for the state, there's some things that I love to do for myself. I love to go to other conferences. I like to learn information from other therapists they bring in. I train and do new modalities like something called brain spotting I'm learning. I've taken several sessions of that and will continue on. Sometimes I sit at the feet of people that's been in the game a lot longer than me to get that wisdom and knowledge, because why wouldn't I do that, right? But sometimes it's sitting across from a coworker and just trading some information where they say, Simmone, perhaps you can look at it like this. I think we call it supervision and or consultation, where I can say, hey, Sean, this is what I think about this. What do you think? Right? Staying fresh. And then being in a place where I'm always humble enough to know that I'm not the GOAT. I'm an active player in this, but I'm not the GOAT at it. And so I don't ever want to feel like I'll reach that status where I'm done learning. Ever. Never. So I try to stay fresh and stay on top of that. And I'm curious enough to do so. Yeah.
Oh, back to me? Well, I like how you passed that off. I didn't see the baton, bro.
Yeah, he was.
That wasn't reasonable.
He was like,
I'm learning too.
That wasn't reasonable, bro. That wasn't reasonable, bro. I was just thinking, right? I know a lot of sisters that accept a lot of abuse. You know what I mean? But I'm like, I question it. Some stuff they go through is like, damn, man. Me, I wouldn't go through it, right?
I don't know if it's accept, but I heard you.
Okay. Well, it's my show, so
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, because I'm a give and take type of dude.
Mm-hmm.
If not accept what then?
Well, they might find themselves in that situation.
Okay.
Where they are experiencing a lot of abuse. I don't think anybody.
I know females who have brothers though, who have male friends, right?
Yeah.
But they won't share that.
Yeah.
They'll protect dude that's doing it.
Yeah.
But they won't share that.
Well, what do you think that's from? You tell me. Because you think they waking up and saying, "Yeah, I want to accept getting beat down today. I'm gonna take that today." You think somebody waking up?
I'm not the licensed. I'm not the licensed person.
I'm asking you. It's a trap. It is a trap.
The question's a trap?
No, the situation.
Well, and I'm asking, not just for them because my mother went through it, right? Mm-hmm. My mother went through it, and as I got older, I used to question that shit. Like, damn, you know how many times I've talked to somebody who questions the person that is being abused versus questioning the person that is abusing. And so this idea of being in this cycle of abuse means sometimes people have a huge fear of leaving what they do know. So if I grew up in a household where my parents were fighting and my dad was whooping on my mom, I may grow up in that situation. And my aunties get into it with they dudes, and my grandmama get into it with her husband, and all that kind of thing. Maybe that's what I know, and I call it normal. And for other people, listen very carefully. Sometimes peace and wellness and safety is the unknown, and people are more afraid of that than they are of change.
Absolutely, it's terrifying.
So what do you tell your sister though?
Just what I'm telling you.
Because, but I didn't,
Just what I'm telling you.
I didn't know this, right?
Yeah.
Growing up, right?
Yeah.
I'm a kid.
Yeah.
And then I became a teenager that, started feeling myself.
Yeah.
I got my guys too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And all you gotta do is say something.
Yeah.
And I know I can call my dudes and you ain't gonna never touch my mama again.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You ain't gonna never touch my mama again.
You know how many brothers I work with in my practice that have done that have fought dudes off?
Well, we never. But my mama said something before she died. To my auntie to tell me that he's the only man she ever loved, and I've seen my mother face look like the Elephant Man.
Distorted.
Right?
Yeah.
And my uncle's mad.
Yeah.
My granddaddy mad.
Yeah.
I'm a little dude. I'm about 11, 12.
Yeah.
But I had my grandma pissed off. I was mad.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, somebody do that.
Yeah.
Don't leave alone.
Yeah. Protecting it.
A month later, she's back with you.
It says a lot to me about how she valued self.
A month later, she was back with you.
How she valued herself. I'm gonna tell you that, and that might go somewhere internally, but there's something that has to be in place for an abuser to even enter your life. There has to be something in place that they know. That's the one right there. Relationships don't start off like I'm gonna beat your ass.
Yeah.
That you don't meet nobody, walk up on them like.
Well, I figured it out, right?
Yeah.
Through writing my book.
Yes.
It's in there.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where I tell how, she got a job that she felt was below her and was embarrassed.
Yeah.
And she wanted furs and she wanted the life that
she wanted.
That they were
and
promised
maybe
in the
provided
South.
That. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I understand it.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of females caught in this trap.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Not
wanting to be alone.
Utilize the resources.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do we say?
And a lot of sisters do leave. A lot. One of the things I know as a person who works with survivors every day is that the most dangerous time for a woman is when she leaves an abusive relationship. Because people say things like, if you leave me, I'm going to kill you. And oftentimes, women are killed.
Now it's happening more and more.
Always. We just hear about it. But it's always been a factor.
Yes.
Always. Women have been killed by their abusers for hundreds of years.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It might not have been reported the same because women's rights weren't the same.
Yeah.
It might not be reported the same because we didn't talk about Black people dying the same and all that kind of thing. But this kind of the thing with the split of the Black family, which gives some kind of false power to an abuser at times, kind of putting somebody under their thumb because they're dealing with other oppressions in the world too. And the only person they can take it out on is the person that they feel is weaker. Oftentimes, an abuser ain't gonna stand 10 toes down with another man. But they'll abuse that woman or those children because it's easy. And so if I cry and say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean it," will you take me back? Then it becomes the cycle of abuse. So we call it the power and control wheel. The abuse happens, they separate because the person is upset. The person takes some time, he says, "I'm sorry," and then the love making happens where we start making up, and it's so delicious over here that you almost forget this a little bit. And you look up later and you 15 years later in this same cycle. And so guess what you're doing all along is training yourself, training that person, and training them children that this is a way of life. Once that's kind of embedded, it is very hard to get off that cycle. Extremely. So the judgment don't help, but what you say is, "Sis, I'm right here. You can do it. Here's some examples of several women who have done it for themselves, and you can too. What else do I need to do to support you in that?"
Curveball. Do Black lives really matter?
Yes, they do. Absolutely.
Do they?
Absolutely.
So here comes the curve. That
Absolutely.
was the ball, right?
Yeah.
And this is, this ain't about your practice, right?
Yeah.
This is your opinion.
Yeah.
A white cop can killed Johnny Brown. And the whole community. They crucified that white guy.
Yeah.
But little Billy killed Johnny Brown. And you got half the community talking about, man, Billy ain't did that.
Yeah.
Hide Billy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't want Billy to be held accountable.
Yeah.
But we say Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
Do they really?
They do. No matter how we try to hide, protect, or change what the crime is, in my opinion, and in many opinions of Black folks all over the world, if you do the crime, we don't care if you're black, white, purple, or green. If you harming people, you need to serve the time for it or receive the judgment, punishment, whatever for it. We know that it's not always the same. So whatever that culture is, where we try to hide our loved one. I mean, it's more and more education. They're going to catch the person anyway.
You know, I mean, no, man, Simmone, don't be snitching. You know, come on now. Let's snitch it, baby. What you know?
Listen.
We don't do that.
We don't.
Right?
I mean,
you know,
that's
the street code say we don't do that shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you're a citizen.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're a citizen.
And you say you care. And you say you care. So what do? Do you harbor this person that's gonna probably be a repeat offender? You know what I mean? Or that's done this atrocious, horrible crime to somebody else's family? I know too many people suffering because people won't speak up. Yeah. I know people from the streets, for real,
yeah,
that have lost children or whatever, and because people ain't snitching, we see the effects of that. It's right. Devastating, and it breaks families down. It breaks you down internally, and it breaks down family structure and family systems to keep harboring and holding on to people who are doing wrong, even with the abuser. I just said at this thing on Saturday, if you know a perpetrator that keeps harming children, sexually assaulting children, beating on their woman, and you don't pull their coattail, you just as much as you might be right along with the perpetrator. How dare I have a brother that's whooping on his woman every day and I don't say something?
So this is where I normally get in trouble.
How dare I?
Right?
How dare I?
This is where I normally get in trouble at, because shit, we got leaders. We got leaders that know of these type of incidents and actions, and they not saying nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, but just because they leaders don't mean that they great people. Don't mean they people of integrity.
Yeah.
I don't measure my integrity by nobody else. Real talk.
That's right.
Because if I look at you too long, Sean, I'm gonna be so busy judging you that I might tell. It's a lot of stuff we got to do to line ourselves up in a real way, where we stop the judgment piece of who doing what and who ain't. What are you doing? Because that's the only way this thing gonna change. Check yourself. Raise your kids right. Make sure you do right by your own people.
So when your kids raised right.
And sometimes you don't do better till you know better. Sometimes we held that secret for somebody for so long because that's the way, right? That's what we do. You recognize that after so many years of doing that it's just as a detriment to your family, you need to change your ways. Period. Quickly. And say, guess what, y'all? I've been wrong for 20 years.
Some of us need to change our ways, y'all.
I've been wrong for 20 years.
Y'all hear that?
And that's okay.
Some of us need to change our ways.
And we can.
I think we have to.
We can. We have to.
We must.
Not all this. This is just the way it's always been. That's enough of that. We done had enough of that. I done had enough of that. It's not working.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not working. Now the streets out of control. Ain't no rules. I hear old heads say, we used to have rules to this. We didn't do this. We didn't do that. Now they doing it.
I have my opinion. He has his, and I think it's our kind of parallel, right? How did we get here? Coming from a professional point of view,
yeah,
right? I know what we think,
yeah,
what we believe, right?
Yeah. I think,
but there's also what scientists are gonna. Well, this factor caused this in society, right? But coming from somebody that deals with trauma, that understands trauma and what trauma is and the root causes of trauma and how our society is affected by trauma and how our norms have changed due to society and the trauma within, right?
I'm gonna sound old school, but I'm gonna say all of this old school stuff that makes sense to me. You know, first of all, the Black family in particular has been divided, and we know why. It was a plan. And in that plan, we never really quite caught the grasp of how Black and women come together and make things beautiful again, minus the interruption of other entities. Number one, oppression, racism, sexism, all the things, lack of pay for Black and brown people at work, lack of equal pay, lack of equal rights. All of those things plague the Black family. So when your man come in at night, your woman come in at night, we pretty much have battled the world. We don't want to come home and do the same thing, right? So figuring out a mechanism. Yeah, figuring out a mechanism for when we come home, how do we make this place safe? How is this about me and you and ours, baby? Where we ain't taking on everything else that's out there, right? How do we best support each other as we battle this and not be like, man, I'm more tired than you. I'm more tired than you. None of that matters. Everybody's tired. So one, like reunifying the Black family in a real way. But outside of that, you know, I got to be careful at times because I feel like, and I think there's a lot of other people that feel like, you know, some parts of integration messed us up. Some parts of being integrated messed us up. When we had thriving Black communities and things like that.
So, see, you're just proving how smart I am. Because y'all know I have said this, right? Integration messed us up. And a lot of people think I'm crazy.
In certain
but
ways.
I'm telling people I'm not. I be coming up, and y'all just heard her. She's a professional, licensed.
Yeah. Definitely
every month.
You know, and so giving us in a space where we have opportunities, I don't want to knock off the fact that we've got these great opportunities to do stuff as well too, but sometimes it's been in a way that we forget from whence we came. You know, we forget where we came from, we forget how to give back, we forget how to build in the community. So I think there's a lot of people on a positive note that are doing that again, where we're connecting entities together, we're building up our community. We have community hubs where people can have these kind of conversations and kind of say, what's next? What's the next step so we can get something done so that everybody can be well? Real talk. Yeah, but I think
so that everybody can be well.
Everybody can be well. Yeah.
See,
but without that, in a capitalist system, you know, then you'll miss the money that comes from people not being well.
So I'm gonna throw you another curveball, right? Because I'll be following what's going on in Chicago. And with the immigration, right? And how they're given first dibs, basically, right? They come into these communities.
No taxes, can start businesses, type of stuff.
Nurses making $24,000 a month to take care of them.
Yeah.
They giving $9,000. They're moved to the front line for housing. You know, I got a problem with that.
Yeah.
Right. I got a problem with that. Not because I don't like the immigrants, but because I love us. And I believe that all this aid going to other places, it needs to stop. You know,
it's not. I think we keep looking for somebody else to rescue us. Let me say that real clear. We keep looking for other people to say and validate that we are here in this country, and they still won't even deal with the fact that we're stolen merchandise.
Okay.
We are stolen merchandise.
Yeah.
We and for a lot of people, when you hear people say things like, get on your feet on your own, all you got to do is go to school, all you got to do is get this job. They're
we hear that all the time.
oftentimes saying this without the consideration that nothing has generally come easy for Black and brown people.
But we always told, hey, just look, you just keep on, push through that shit. Don't worry about that. Don't let that bother you. Well, damn, I mean, it's gonna bother me because I don't have an opportunity no more. You giving away my opportunity.
Yeah.
You're giving away the resources in my community.
Yeah.
And you tell me, hey, you just keep on.
Yeah.
Don't let that bother you.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing against you. America ain't mistreating you. I'm hearing a lot of conservative Blacks, but they still Black. And the message is still there, coming from a Black person.
Yeah.
That there's no racism.
Yeah.
Our country doesn't practice racism.
Yeah.
Just
take trade a day with me. Let's see what that looks like.
Yeah, well, that ain't gonna happen.
Right.
That ain't gonna happen.
And so nobody has to agree with us that racism is alive and well and has always been. I don't need nobody to understand that for it to be a true fact. People can say what they want to say. They can run on any messaging that they want to. This idea of ensuring that everybody else gets support, minus black folks. And then there are programs that do, support Black education, higher education. I think all of those things are on their way out, specifically with them trying to remove diversity and inclusion from many institutions.
Speak about that.
Yeah, it's a thing. I think specifically during the Black Lives Matter movement, you saw people racing to have these diversity and inclusion programs built into their HR or whatever for hiring galleys and ways for people to come into better jobs, better careers, better education.
Did we ever talk about my thoughts about Black Lives Matter?
No.
The organization.
We did.
Oh.
We did.
What did I say? Do you remember?
A little bit.
Then I said it was like some bullshit.
Uh-huh.
I was trying to sign it up to our channel. I'm not do that. Well, I thought I did, but I'm not really
Won't you
enough
need
to do
numbers and stuff to do that?
What numbers?
I don't know, password.
Yeah.
Well, we got that up.
Oh, you got it. Okay.
I sent it to you.
Okay.
It's the same as the email.
Okay.
Yes.
Y'all had a whole little
Not that reason.
side.
A sidebar. Yeah. I look forward to that. I seen that. I went through that. So I asked you earlier, right, about psychological first aid, but I also asked you about trauma and the difference between trauma and a disorder.
Well, I think
trauma and mental health.
Yeah, trauma can at times jumpstart the disorder.
Okay.
So sometimes people have been so traumatized, they are suffering with some kind of mental health disorder. Sometimes not at all. Sometimes it's just strictly trauma.
So let me ask you, when I look at trauma and disorder, right? This trauma that I suffered, all right, there's a fear of that happening again, right? And my disorder is associated with that fear.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Once I overcome that fear, I can deal with that trauma, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it might not be something that absolutely goes away, but what we want to get people to do is to understand that sometimes just these feelings and emotions and fears will still come up, but you have a better grasp on how to deal with it. Because when you avoid it, sometimes behaviors look a certain way. or when you allow, like I say, don't let trauma drive you. Don't
So
let it in the
that's
front
not a
seat.
mental illness. That's a disorder, right?
Yeah, based on what you've experienced,
Right.
trauma-wise. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But a disorder,
I guess my question is,
I think we playing the word game because disorder can also be a diagnosis.
a diagnosis,
Yeah.
but that doesn't equate to me having a mental illness, though, right? Because I endured this trauma and I have this disorder, right? My mental health may not be 100%,
Yeah.
which means I have some mental illness.
Yes. So,
but that doesn't mean that I'm mentally ill as in crazy.
No.
And I think we need to see, but
no.
a lot of, like you said, it's a play on words.
Yeah.
It's semantics, right?
Yeah.
And without defining, people going, well, no, I ain't crazy, man.
Not
Shit,
at all.
I ain't got no damn mental illness.
Not at all.
No, you do have a mental.
But if you think about this, if somebody has pulled a gun on me walking down the street, and now every time I walk down a street, that street, walk past somebody that's got a jacket on like that person or walks like that person, my body will automatically respond to that as like fight, flight, or freeze, PTSD. Mm-hmm. Now I have post-traumatic stress disorder, which a lot of us suffer from, specifically in our own neighborhoods because we've seen so much death, loss, whatever. That is a diagnosis that is in the DSM-5 where we look and we see these symptoms that show up, right? And that is a mental health diagnosis. It don't have nothing to do with being crazy or mentally ill.
So where does trauma-informed care come in?
Trauma-informed care is a way to look at a situation or an individual with a lens that's trauma-informed. Okay. So if my lens if the way I see you is trauma-informed, that means, I understand why this person may snap off, may isolate, may be suffering with depression, may quit jobs often. It can be anything. Okay. Based on the idea that they've gone through so much trauma. So if I have an understanding of why they behave the way they do based on what they've gone through, even a loved one, if you got a cousin that we always be like, they crazy. Every time they come over, they start shit. They do. And we get a better understanding for why they show up like that, then that's a trauma-informed view as opposed to the judgment or the labeling, which I think you kind of get into with the diagnosis piece. So I think people are learning that it doesn't necessarily have to be a diagnosis because somebody struggles with promiscuity or is involved with human trafficking or whatever. It's not always that. Sometimes it is. We need to understand the amount of trauma this person has been exposed to in their community, in their home, kind of like Antoine Fisher. So what do you think is going to show up? What do you think is going to rise up out of that kind of despair all the time? Trauma-informed care is having an understanding for the why that person shows up like that. Okay. Trauma-informed strategies is what we need to talk about.
Okay, because now I'm about to...
How I approach that person is a specific trauma-informed strategy. Hello, my name is, this is what I do. I don't fix nobody, right?
So, I got this thing about violence, right? Not that I'm violent, preventing violence.
Violence prevention.
Yeah, let me clarify that because how can trauma-informed care be a tool in the prevention of violence? Is it?
It is.
A tool.
It is because it's an understanding of why violence can be cyclical. Kind of what you said about your mom having a trauma-informed lens. You can understand how she can be in a situation where violence keeps harming her, violence keeps affecting her, and it's like a cycle. when you best understand where she's coming from, why she might be more susceptible to that, why it's hard to leave, why she says that was the only person she ever loved, then you give her more grace and space than just judging her or any other survivor by saying, why would they stay? That's crazy. Trauma informed lets you know that there's something that's happened before in their life, growing up perhaps, or in their communities that makes them be more susceptible to dealing with violence. If we want to talk about being the perpetrator of violence, the person who harmed your mom or harms other people probably saw violence as well. So if you keep hearing that play over and over and over and over and over and over and over, you grow up with this belief that I'm supposed to show up in the world like that. Trauma informed gives us space to understand that nobody is born, no baby is born, no child grows up and say, I'm going to be an abuser, and nobody says, I'm raising my hand because I want to be abused the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I want to be a gangbanger the rest of my life. I want to take from people the rest of my life. Nobody is born that way. It is what they have experienced and what they've been exposed to, Sean, that creates this environment where they kind of give up on self and they give up on the world around them. My job is to be trauma informed enough to say, I know you got dealt this hand. I know this is the shit. Yeah. I understand this is how you've been operating. How is it working for you now? And then what do you want to do about it? Because as long as you're breathing, you got time.
So trauma-informed care is needed in violence prevention.
It is. It is.
Hey, David.
At this point, it's needed in schools. It's needed in hospitals.
Yeah.
We talk about it where I work. It's needed everywhere. People have to be trauma-informed to best understand how to serve and service others. Without that, you lost.
So what's the difference between psychological first aid and trauma-informed?
You tell me.
No, I'm asking the question.
I'm asking you.
Well, I done studied trauma-informed care.
Okay.
I'm not really versed in trauma-informed care, but
Okay.
Psychological first aid is being able to identify the need. Mm-hmm. Like, say, you got 4 people, and this person is over here, arm is messed up, right? And mm-hmm. This person is over here silent and not saying anything and staring off into space, and this person is crying, and this person is showing some other thing, right? From what I was taught, the silent person is the one that we really need to deal with after this, because they're the ones most in need, because they're trying to figure out how to deal with what's going on inside. That's why they are basically.
And so what's normally happening is that it's all internalized, yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So the first aid piece is don't allow anybody to bleed in, mm-hmm. to stay inward, to harm in. Right. Figure out a way that they can tap into it and tell somebody what it is to get it out and off of them, because it's harming. That psychological first aid piece is often like very close. It lays very closely to trauma-informed care. To think about the differences, I think we have to do a part B. So I need to do some stuff. You did pass the course.
I passed that course.
You did pass. Yeah. But that idea of being a kind of triage, psychological first aid is like a triage of an accident scene.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And seeing that person is being still, checking to make sure that they're okay, because we see the broken arm.
Right.
We see the person crying out saying, and they can verbalize and say, my back hurts.
Right.
But that person that's not saying as much. It's the same with anybody who's suffering from trauma. Making sure you do some kind of assessment to tap in and make sure that they are, not numb to it. Because a lot of people are so harmed, Sean, that they just numb.
Yeah.
They numb.
Well, I believe we have communities full of numb people, man. Our people have become numb to this shit. Yeah. And it's like, you know what?
We normalize it.
As long as it ain't at my doorstep or knocking on my door,
I ain't worried about it.
Man, I'm good.
Yeah.
But eventually, you're going to get that.
Show up. Yeah.
It's going to be right in your yard.
Well, one of the things I think we do a disservice when we say is if it's not at my doorstep. Some people say, Mom, why do you do so much? Why do you try to help or whatever? They question it. And I say, what do y'all think is going to happen in this country if we don't?
Yeah.
Do you see what's happening in these schools? Do you see what's happening all over this country? You see the war. You see the issues. You see how young girls and young boys are treating each other. You see young white kids killing each other, young black kids. What do you think is going to happen if we don't figure out a way to come together and figure out what is ailing us? What is the problem? We don't have a choice. Otherwise, this whole world is going to be destroyed. And I believe that's where we're on our way to. Anyway, stuff is more bizarre now, seem like, than ever before. Than ever before. From the silliness that we're accepting to, and I shouldn't say silliness because whatever your lifestyle is your business, but it's getting bizarre. It's getting bizarre.
I'm not licensed. Yeah, that's some silly shit y'all be doing. It's getting bizarre,
and it's getting to a place where we are lacking in value. We lack trust. We lack self-respect. We lack self-esteem. We lack self-efficacy, which is the belief that I can. Yes, I can be on my own without this person. Yes, I can get a better job. Yes, I can heal. Yes, I can make sure my babies are all right too. Yes, I can reverse this. Yes, I can.
Yeah.
I don't have to stay in no situation ever. And I think we just have lost our way with that. Big time. Big time. But sometimes it's just sharing that message that you can do it. You can do it and you're not by yourself. I get tired. I'll be tired.
I'll be tired all the time. I'll be mentally tired. You know, but I'll be tired.
Yeah.
But
it's a lot going on.
It's a lot going on.
Listen. Yeah. See? On that Antoine Fisher.
Yeah. Watching Antoine Fisher. Anything else you want to ask about?
Well, there's a couple more questions on here. Yeah. Let me
I might have some tasks to those.
All right. Can you share some success stories or positive outcomes from your counseling sessions demonstrating the impact of your work on clients' lives?
Yeah, I got it several. I work with a lady. This is an example. Be careful what I share. Older Black woman from Illinois who had raised her children. Dealt with a lot of abuse in her marriage. Husband suffered from mental health issues. And eventually passed away from some violence. At the time, she needed help with her children. So she got them involved with the Catholic Church and believed what they shared with her would be a best place for her children to learn. And all of her children were harmed at this church by one person. They grew up. They have lives. Many of them are still extremely affected. 50s, 60s, 70-year-olds. So I work with the mother. I had in the past. I worked with the mother of these adult children. And she was in her 80s and entered into counseling. Right? And you talk about strength, resilience, the ability to hear that she didn't deserve any of it. The way that you learn to give yourself forgiveness as a parent for things that you thought you were doing right. So success to me looks like self-forgiveness. Success looks like I now have carved this life out for myself that I truly want, that is not monitored or shaped by another human being because I'm on my own path. That's the ultimate healing. When your obligation is to self and you don't have to worry about who else wants you to do what and when. And she had finally gotten to a place in her life where everything was about her. And she was in her 80s, and that was the first time in her life that she could be selfish in that way. So, I mean, that's a massive success story for me. And success doesn't always look like brand new car, brand new house. It's not the luxury piece. It's the luxury here. And the luxury here, the freedom that comes with knowing who I be. And that these horrible things happen, but I survived it. Think about how you could lose your mind knowing that somebody harmed all of your children.
That's what Antoine Fisher said.
Here we go.
Trying to break
You're not gonna, but we're not gonna keep. You're not gonna.
Okay.
Listen,
I love the reference.
you're not gonna do that. No, we're not doing
because it's so.
No,
Sean. I'm saying I look at things like we got this podcast tonight with this young lady in her profession, and I just watched this movie, and it's the same exact thing. It's the same. It's a black man, young black man that was traumatized as a child, and it affected him throughout his life in the military. So he can't stop fighting because he been sexually assaulted. He been called the N-word like it was going out of style.
And what's
he been
deep is abandonment.
Abandonment. Is what his mother did at birth.
It's huge. That's huge.
So that's just that whole movie, man. If you watch it, man, it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy. And
what we don't know, it's a true story, but what we don't know and what we do know on this end about Antoine Fisher is, he's successful. He wrote this book, right? He got himself he went to the service, he got all these, what you call them? Stripes and all that. So in the world, you look successful, right? He got a lady, maybe had some kids, so in his life. But trust and believe that trauma peeks his head up every now and then. I don't care how old he is.
Got no choice.
Like, remember your mama. It's like, remember you ain't nothing. And you have to kind of get yourself together and be like, yes, I am. And I am deserving of love and peace and support. And so the reminders of the trauma do come up.
Yeah.
They do. But, I mean, it's a daily walk. It's a fight. Yeah.
I was going to shout out to these man.
Please do.
Mikey. What's that, man? Dietrich, thank you. Sakina, Teresa, Tom Banks, Gloria, Pierre, Perry, my bad. Terry B, Johnny. Thank y'all for joining. Share the show. Mama Jenkins, Robert, Tiff, Trail. See you in court tomorrow, man. I was in court with that brother today too. Yeah, he got on the stand. He did a great job. The baby Sakaria, who was killed in the shooting. He was on last week. They started court. Chubb,
we've been praying for that thing.
Yeah.
Man.
John, Maya, Quay, and thank God for joining us. Share the show. And that's what I asked.
No, that was the last question. But I do thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
Coming along with the movie and then having the show is really. And I hope the movie come back on.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll wake up again.
Watch it again. I always call that a God thing. You see what I'm saying? I didn't know I was gonna meet me. Didn't know he was gonna meet me, but sometimes that's how that thing happened. You know what I mean? To really bring that message home. You see the movie different.
Yeah, you do.
Anything you want to say to anybody?
Healing is possible. Leave space for hope. Try to understand when somebody shows up and their behaviors are weird or they get on your nerves or they always, kind of disruptive or whatever, that might be a cry for help. Kind of like you said, psychological first aid. That person that's pulled back in that corner, don't talk, don't want to engage. Check on your people. Check on your people and check on your strong friends too. Everybody needs support. In equity, in equality, we all need each other. And so don't get it twisted. When somebody say, I don't need y'all. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And it might look different. Sometimes they just need a prayer or a text reminder. I'm right here if you need me. Sometimes they need you on their door. Yeah. Be available for people. Love on your people. And don't keep putting it off. Because I tell you that when I say, I'm going to make sure I call, that's usually when I mess up. And I
gotta stop that.
Yeah.
I get so busy.
Yeah.
And I should never be too busy for the people that I care about.
Sometimes it's, let me call. It's so loud. I got to call them right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And other times I've missed that.
Yeah, because I be trying to get, I be sending messages sometimes. I might not get a call from me for a day. But it's cool. I know my counselor, my therapist scared about me. She got, get to me what she can.
Yeah.
Stop. I want to first I want to thank you for coming. I hope that we didn't disappoint you.
Not at all.
I hope Nick didn't disappoint you.
Nick did not.
Okay.
I was tired today, and
I ain't saying me.
I work all day after not going to sleep last night, and I just be tired.
No, you fine. I appreciate that.
Antoine Fisher, bro. Antoine Fisher. It's Antoine Fisher, bro. I know it is.
It's a good one to reference for this podcast too, because it's something for people to kind of say to the brothers that you know, to the brothers you just shout out. Check it out. Watch the movie. Anything similar come up, anything stab you a little bit, you feel that thing, kind of evaluate what it is for you. Is it abandonment? Is it feeling like you don't measure up? Is it being, unsure who you be?
Yeah.
Tap into that. And then it's okay to choose therapy. I'm in the Black Clinicians Network. There's hundreds of us in Milwaukee that see people. There's a way to be seen. If you're interested in having a therapist or connecting with a therapist, hit me up. Mm-hmm. Find me through Sean, that type of thing. Yeah. Therapy is like you go in and you get your body checked, you get your eyes checked, you go to the dentist, you go ear, nose, and throat. You if your foot hurting, you go get checked out. Why would we not check out our mental well-being? What is wrong with us? It's the same thing as a checkup.
We don't want
check
to
in.
Crazy. Crazy.
If you think that's crazy, what really is crazy
is the stigma
is having a problem and not addressing it. That's what should seem crazy.
Yeah, but I'm just,
Well, ain't nobody got to know your business again. It's your business.
It's your business.
It's your business. We dip off the smoke. So, you know what I'm saying? We'll dip off, you know what I'm saying? We got all kinds of spots we might dip off. You dip off to a therapist.
Speaking of, so for those that know, man, today we buried a friend, a brother. I just want to shout out Jerry Dallas and his family, man.
My condolences.
We're gonna keep y'all in our prayers. Miss Donna Bunn, right? She was on the show, one of my first shows, and we were supposed to do some things for her to try to raise some money for her, and the lounge closed down. I just want to know, I haven't forgotten. I've actually ordered some of my books. You know about my books.
Yeah, I do.
They don't.
Yeah.
I haven't shared with nobody.
No.
Honestly, right? They don't know what cost me to write my books.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I ordered some books to sell, and I'm going to give her part of the proceeds.
Yeah.
I'm going to let y'all know about the books, man. Well, it's a book. I am writing additional books, but this book, a lot of what I discussed tonight is in my book. And my book is about the trauma that I've dealt with over the past 50 plus years. And I identified 178 disorders that I either suffered from or caused others to suffer through. I don't look at the book as good or bad. Mm-hmm. It was something I needed to do for me.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll help somebody else in figuring out what they need to do for them. But I thank you for this show.
Yeah. Thank you.
I really do. Hopefully somebody that was listening, if you ever feel the need to speak to somebody, you don't want to talk to me, you don't want to talk to Nick. I got Simmone's information, and I can tell you 100% total honesty, right? Honesty. She ain't got to know you, and she'll show up. I met her in one of them occasions, and we'll discuss it. I'm going to discuss it on air with you when my books come. I'm going to invite you back, and I'm going to do what you suggested. I'm going to have some other people from the field here. Dr. Addison in there. I'm going to talk about it because I want other people to understand that this stigma that we have about being crazy or being labeled,
Yeah.
right? It's just that it's a stigma.
It's
It's
a
nothing but a
stigma.
word. It's nothing.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't control us.
Not at all.
Or
hold you back from. Listen. Don't let it hold you back from the life that you really want and you can have.
Yeah. Well, it almost took me out. Right?
Yeah.
It almost took me out.
Yeah.
And yeah. So and y'all join us. What's the day? Tuesday. And y'all join us Thursday for talking shit. Kurt in the back, Danny in the back, Jeff in the back. After this, I guess we're gonna chop it up for a little bit. Nick got to go to sleep though.
I'm all right.
Oh, he all right. So he'll be up. I'm not gonna be here. But Sunday we're gonna do a special show. I think Cuckoo will be back by then, man. I want Cuckoo to come through because Cuckoo has been going through this transformation.
Yeah.
And I'm really proud of him.
Yeah, we were praying for him.
After Daddy's son passed, which Cuckoo helped raise, I believe it affected him to the point where he's ready, right? He's elevating. You know what I mean? And Sunday we do a special show. It's the 4th. It's 2/4/24.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we gonna do what we do.
All right.
My son gonna come on and we gonna showcase some of his new music.
Good.
He got a song I'm about to play now. We can't hear it, but they can hear it. And I believe that it really goes with this episode is War Pain.
Yeah.
And the lyrics are brothers get back up.
Yeah.
After war pain, right there. It's the war pain, but we gotta get back up.
Get back up.
And
that idea about our own resilience. We got it.
And sometimes I know it's hard to get up, but when you got somebody there that throw their hand out of, you know what I mean? It makes it a little bit easier.
Even better.
Know that we love y'all, man. Once again, it's the gang members, Cuppcast, and Miss Simmone Kilgore. I'm Milwaukee's top licensed professional counselor because she's my counselor, so and I'm a difficult dude. I'm not reasonable.
Counseling is expensive.
It can be, but it don't have to be. It don't have to be.
It's critical.
It's critical.
We'll see y'all next show.
We're
gonna leave y'all with this right here though.
Yeah.
Critical condition.
Love y'all, man.
Thank you. Oh, yep. Awesome.
Right.
My mama said if you in a room full of 10 people, if one person heard you and they got something out of it, that's all that matters. That's what you do.
This was the best show to me.
It
was.
Look, I know how to pick guests.
See?
You know what I mean? I know how to pick guests.
I reached out to him, which is crazy.
Yeah, but
yeah, she did. She did.
He picked me. I picked him. I reached out to him. I said, "What's happening over